Hello, everyone. So I want to talk about how I had made a mistake in my early studies. Now, when I came out of Christianity, I came out of organized religion. I started learning about the name of Yahuwah, and it was a thing that's very popular. Now, I'm not against anyone that uses the name Yahuwah. I was a person who used the name Yahuwah. And I've been using it for the past 10 months, and so in my earlier studies about learning about some of the Hebrew, that there's modern Hebrew, the added vowel markers, that there was paleo Hebrew, when I started seeing the full letter tetragrammaton, and knowing that it was a yod, hey, uwe, hey, I didn't understand much of what I was looking at. And when I was doing some searches, I would hear people say, well, there's no W in Hebrew, and so therefore the name Yahweh cannot be the name, so it's Yahuwah. And I know it wasn't Yahava because the VAV in that third letter above my head, that third letter, in my understanding, it was a Wa at first, and then that Wa that was a consonant could be used as a vowel. That's how you got the UA sound. So it was a UAU, and later on in modern time, it became a VAV. So when I saw names like Yahava and Yehovah, and I knew those weren't the name. So I gravitated towards Yahuwah with the understanding that there was not no W in Hebrew. So when I started looking at some of the Hebrew charts that you see online, the alphabet charts, there was some modern versions because they would have the VAV, so I knew that wasn't the one. But when I saw the UAU, I thought that, hey, this was the one that I should be kind of like studying from. So when I started looking at the chart, it gave me a different view. And again, when I was looking at that, well, how do you get Yahuwah? How do you get the Uwa? And when I knew it was that third letter that is used as a vowel, I said, okay, this is how I justify it. Then this is the Uwa. But when you go back into ancient Paleo, there is no vowels in ancient Paleo Hebrew. It was only consonants. So I'm going to show you the Hebrew chart and explain a little bit further. So in ancient Hebrew, there is a W. It is the Wa, and when I came across charts like this that had the Paleo ancient script, and it had the Aramaic script, which you would call today the modern Hebrew script, when I came across this third letter, the Uwa, and going in my research where I saw the Wa was a consonant, but also acted as a vowel, I had ran with this idea. And, it was for me to know that the name Yahuwah was valid because of this third letter right here. Now, as we see in the letter chart that there is no O and there is no U, this actually should have been a Wa. So in the ancient time, there was no O, there was no U, there was no letter E, okay? So I made a mistake when I was in my earlier stages. So as I've been studying more about the ancient Hebrew, this is the ancient chart right here. And these are all the ancient Paleo script right here, okay? And for the exception of this first letter, the A, it has the ah sound. And this right here would be the I sound. And when you go back to the Proto-Canaanite, it would actually be an actual I, but the exception for this letter, it's an I, and this one is a ah. So in the alphabet of the ancient Paleo Hebrew, how you would pronounce the words is a, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, cha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, pa, ta, za, kwa, ra, sha, da. That's how you would pronounce it in the ancient Paleo. In ancient Paleo Hebrew, you don't have any vowels. They were all consonants. You know, now the exception of the ah, which had the vowel sound, was different. And the I was a different sound than all the rest of the letters. The rest of them were ba, ga, da, ha. They weren't spelled with the A after each letter, but the A is put there to help you to pronounce the words. Because if you have just all consonants together, you're not going to be able to pronounce words. So the A was the most simplest letter to pronounce. It's just like a baby when they start talking. You know, they say ma, da, pa, because it's the most easiest word to use when you're pronouncing a word. Now, this is a Sanskrit. This is another ancient language. You know, everything has derived from the ancient Paleo, and it was all consonants as well. They carried on that same thing, having a single vowel at the end of each letter to pronounce the word. I mean, it's you know, don't have to go through all of them because they all sound the same. Ka, ga, da, da, na, pa, ba, ha. You see? So they all ended with a single vowel at the end of the letter to pronounce it. So in modern Hebrew, this right here is the hey, the name of the letter H, which is the H sound. This right here would be the wa, which has the W sound. Now, what modern Hebrew has done is added nukits, I should say, and these dots. So wherever you, to indicate a vowel marker, so wherever you put this dot at, you are going to get a different vowel, okay? So this is the H. What happens is when you put a dot up here, you get an O. So now this H over here is going to have the who sound. When you put the dot over here, which is called a shuruk, you are going to get the letter U. And now you're going to get the who sound. Then down here, when you put the dot down here, you are going to get the hey sound down here. Okay? So this system right here is corrupt because it's using vowel markers to create vowels when the ancient Paleo Hebrew did not use vowels. Okay. Modern Hebrew came out at least 800 years after the Messiah had ascended. So before that, when we go back further, when Alexander the Great conquered in the region of 332 BC, Greek culture and language spread through the Near East. This period is called Hellenistic Period because Greek became a common administrative and trade language. Hebrew and Aramaic speakers encountered sounds that did not exist in earlier Hebrew. So as captivity had happened, there was Greek language had now mixed in with Hebrew. And this is where we come to the point of the Matres Lectionis, the vowel lettering system that came out way after the time of Moses. Now, when we look into this Matres Lectionis rule chart, excuse me on my pronunciation, what they did is that they took the four letters, the aleph, the hey, the wa, and the yod, and they said, now these letters are going to be identified as vowels. Now, we'll focus on the wa, which is highlighted. You see how originally it was the W letter, the wa, but later on in modern it became a va, and then henceforward it's the vowels are added for the O and for the U, as you can see right there. So if we take the 4-letter tetragrammaton and you don't add any vowels to it, and you go back to the ancient Hebrew and with the consonants, and you add the letter A in between each letter, then you would get Yahweh. Yahweh. That's the name of the creator. Now, I'm not here to bash anybody that uses the name Yahuwah or uses any other name. I'm just here to expose the vowel systems that they used and gave us different names with different pronunciations. Now, in order to get this name Yahuwah, in order for you to get that letter U, you would have to use, like I said before, the vowel system. You would have to put a dot here to get the vowel U, and take the H from here and tell it to pronounce it as the who. So if you remove this system, and the only way you're going to get a U here is by taking the letter wa and making it a letter vowel. So now this would have to be a U, and it would tell the letter before, which is a ha, right? It would tell it before that we were going to have to get rid of the A. You're going to keep the H, right? So you would keep the H. You would put the U here. You're going to have to tell this letter before, which is a ha as well. You're going to have to tell it to be a vowel now. So you're going to have to get the A, H over here. And then this is a ya. So that's how you would get Yahuwah, Yahuwah. That's the only way you're going to get Yahuwah if you use the Matres Lectionis vowel system, you know. So I say we get rid of the whole system because it's corrupt and it did not appear in the time of ancient paleo, never used these systems. So if we get back to the original, we would come up with Yahweh. Now, because people use the vowel letter system, the O and the U, this is why you would see, like I said, people using the name Yahuwah, and you would also see the name Yahuwah, because they're using the U and the O. They're using the vowel letter system that never existed back in the ancient time. So this was the Proto-Canaanite pictograph. It first started off with these characters, these symbols, and it kept the same meaning. It's a different script, but the same meaning. And then it went on to the ancient Paleo script here on top. And then it went down to your modern, or what you would call Aramaic script. All different scripts, but the same meaning. I hope this information was helpful. If so, hit the like button, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And this is part 1. When I do a part 2, I will be discussing the name of the Messiah. I used to call him Yahusha, but now it's, apparently if you go back to the ancient Hebrew and you remove the vowels, you're not going to get the same name. Well, hope everybody is well. You take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. Shalom.